So I was looking at a couple of my vintage cameras the other day, and I decided I wanted to shoot a couple I never have, one being this Canon rangefinder that I was given. And I opened it up and the light seals were fried, as they are with most 70s, even 80s cameras, definitely 60s. So I figured I'd make a little video on how to replace the light seal since I was going to do it anyways. So I also grabbed this Fuji SLR because with my cameras anyways, there's a little difference between SLRs and the rangefinders and a couple things you have to do. So I figured I'd go through the process of exactly what you need to do to change them, the materials, the tools, and all that. So the tools and supplies you're going to need are first off some toothpicks. You need something wooden to scrape the old light seals out. Wood won't scrape the paint or ruin the camera. I also have some metal ones in case I do need to get a little more aggressive. We'll get into that later. Q-tips, paper towels, denatured alcohol, or something to remove gumminess or stickiness. I'm using Goo Gone here. I've never tried it before, but I thought it'd be a little less nasty than denatured alcohol. A ruler, preferably a clear ruler. It'll make your life way easier. A set of tweezers, and then for the actual light seals, what you need are foam sheets. They sell them at craft stores, every craft store I've ever been to. You need one regular one, and then one that has a sticker back. Obviously buy them in black. They come in every color, but with what we're doing, you're gonna want the black ones. So open up your film door and inspect where the light seals are, or where they were, depending on how degraded yours are. You'll often find little pieces in the corner. Sometimes there's a couple little pieces hiding under stuff. You need to check the grooves. A lot of cameras that I've had from the 70s, 80s, they have a light seal that goes in the groove where the door closes. So just get a good idea of where everything is before you get to removing them. You might even want to take some pictures if that's something that will help you out. After that, it's time to start to get to work cleaning them. First, I take one of these little wooden tools I have. I found these at a craft store too, but again, this is where toothpicks could work. You know, break it in half and get, if you need to get a little blunter edge for some of the thicker ones. And just start wiping off as much of it as you can. They usually crumble pretty easily. Some even have a backing like Scotch tape. In that case, sometimes I'll use the metal tool to try and get under them and pick them up. Sometimes you could get lucky and then they'll just peel off like a piece of tape really easily. Most of the time though, you're going to be scrubbing with the wood to remove these. And the slots I had mentioned, that's where you'll use the toothpick or a tool like I'm using here to push the seals out. There's a couple things you want to, be careful on. You don't want all the stuff falling into the camera. There's also the spot where the film counter is, and I work away from that. I don't want to push anything down in there behind there. So you get most of the stuff off you can with these wood tools, all the crumbly stuff, anything loose. I will use the metal tools a bit, but beware, they will scratch the paint, and obviously you don't want to poke anything that moves with those. I'm doing this on fairly inexpensive cameras. I would not be poking around with a metal tool on a Leica M3 or something like that. You will, like I said, you will scratch the camera with these on the inside. Now get some of the solvent on a paper towel, and you'll use your wood tool or your toothpicks again and start working off anything that's left. You need to really work in the grooves. I do that a number of times. The grooves along the back of the camera. And then all the little crevices, I get in there with the wood tool and the paper towels. After that, I start just using the paper towels by hand to wipe down the film door and get off as much as I can. This could, every camera is different. Sometimes it could be very tedious and very time consuming, and then everybody has their own level of meticulousness. I like to get as much as I can so the next seals that we're about to put on will stick. So once you're finally happy with how clean everything is, I usually will blow it out with some air, wipe it with a microfiber towel or something like that to get the final cleaning done. Then it's time to measure and cut the light seals. So for the film door, everything you put on there is usually going to have to be with the foam with the stickers. What you do with that is you measure, that's why the clear ruler comes in such handy here. And then you're going to, mark your measurements. I don't actually worry about the length. I just make sure it's going to be too long. I cut the strips, remove the backing, and then slowly put them in place, using the wood tool, using my hands. After I place each one, I close the film door again to really stick it in there good. Tweezers will come in handy for the really small ones or ones in hard to get places. You just really have to take your time some of these little ones and work them in. After I have the film door done, then it's time to work on the grooves. So every SLR I've had has one on the top and one on the bottom. Every rangefinder I've had has either just the top one or it doesn't have light seals, which in case you're lucky. But so basically you cut the piece again. This is the non-sticker one. You don't need it because the pressure, it's such a narrow groove, it'll hold in there anyways. So you cut it to the size you need, to the measurement, and I try and go it just a tiny bit over, and then slowly work it into place. You want to be very careful not to twist it. You want it to go in all the same way. When you're on the top, you want to make sure, again, not to get into that little metal mechanism that is the film counter. So cut it before there and then start up again on the other side. The film door might be a little tough to close after some of these replacements, though you could see here I'm not really having much of a problem with the Canon rangefinder, but don't worry about that. They'll obviously, break in, compress a little bit over time. You want it to be tight. You want, that's what we're going for, is light tightness. So yeah, after each step, like I said, I do close the film door again, push it, lock it, and I've never had a problem getting one closed completely. It's not like you shouldn't have to force it. I mean, you're probably off in your sizing if you really, really have to force it closed. So with your SLR, there will usually be one more step. If you take off the lens and look into the mirror box, you will see at the top, there is usually a piece of foam or felt there that's a mirror dampening. So when the mirror flips up, it keeps it from just hitting something hard. This usually breaks down, I would say it has on about 50% of my cameras that I've done light seals on. So it's another good idea to pull that off. That usually comes off pretty easy for me. It is on a backing most times. And then I go through the same process to replace that. It can be obscured sometimes by a piece of metal, but if you hold the camera, upside down, shine some light and look there, you'll be able to tell. If it's in decent shape, I say don't bother with it. It can be a little bit of pain, but if it's falling apart and you're going to get grit and stuff in the camera, it's worth taking the time and effort to replace it. So that's essentially it. It's not that tough, it's just a little tedious. It's always worth at least inspecting any film camera you buy just to see what the condition of the seals are. Why waste all your money on the film and then your time out shooting it just to get a fully exposed rollback or a roll full of light leaks? Anyways, hope this was helpful. Cheers.